up the backy while the moon was still high. Said goodbye to the Karoo and the Southern Cross sky. Drove past the carpets through the dust and the heat, heading up to the Highville to a city street. Got a suit in the back and a prayer in my chest, putting the frantic beating of my heart to the test.
And I came from the coast where the oceans collide, with the salt in my hair and my kids by my side. From the Cape Flats to Durban, we're answering the call. The coloreds, the Indians, the English and all. We used to be fighting over land and over name, but standing on the sidewalk, we all look the same.
And now we're waiting in the queue. Yeah, we're standing in the line, leaving the shadows for the bright sunshine. It's the latest great trek, but we're crossing the sea to the land of the brave and the home of the free. Trump opened the door, said, y'all come on in, where a brand new life is about to begin. Just waiting in the queue, hoping we get through.
I'm tired of the razor wire top on the wall. I'm tired of the sirens and the late night call. We're looking for justice, for law and for order, not the chaos running wild south of the border. I wanna sleep with the windows wide open tonight, without checking the locks or fearing the fright.
They say in America the fences are white, pickets of wood, not electric light. No racism, no quotas, just a chance to be fair, to breathe in the freedom of that American air. We're trading the persecution for a safe harbor shore. We don't wanna live in this fear anymore. Now we're waiting in the queue. Yeah, we're standing in the line, leaving the shadows for the bright sunshine. It's the latest great trek, but we're crossing the sea to the land of the brave and the home of the free. Trump opened the door,
said, y'all come on in,
where a brand new life is about to begin. Just waiting in the queue, hoping we get through.
It's hard to leave the jacarandas in bloom, but there's no room for dreaming in a lockdown room.
We see the shining city on a hill far away, thousands of us praying for that visa stamp today.
There's an African, a farmer with his hat in his hand,
and a girl from the townships that just wants to land
in a place where hard work is the only requirement,
looking for peace, not a hostile environment.
With the weary, the hopeful, the tired and the true.
Yeah, we're waiting in the queue. Oh, such a long line, leaving the heartache and the trouble behind. It's the latest great trek across the deep blue to the red, white and blue. Trump opened the door and the thousands have come to the beat of a different American drum. Yeah, we're waiting in the queue, just hoping to get through to the shining city, to the shining city on a hill.
Marvin Devine. I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Wednesday, December 3rd, 2025. Welcome back to the program, folks. Bonjour. Servus, grüß Gott, Otzihilijang. Chedak. Hey, how's it going there? How y'all doing there? Bonjour. Doc. There we go. Make a check on the sound there. Welcome back to the program. It's time for your daily dose, your daily injection, your protection, your insurance against hyperbole, propaganda, misinformation, disinformation, and legacy fake media. Welcome back. And I don't know if anyone noticed the new banner that I put up. I've created a new banner for the channel. I don't know if you like it or not. I'll do a poll on this as opposed to the blue one. I did a new one this morning and put some effort into this, and I want to get your thoughts on it. Do you like it? I mean, I thought it was pretty good, but then, I'm biased in favor of my creation, so I want to get your thoughts. Quickly, any thoughts on this? What do you guys think about that? Chris Wyatt reports lucid, cogent, predictive, insightful analysis. Got the entire planet right there. Hey, what Max, what are you doing? Walking all over my face with your zombie. What do you think of that, folks? What do you think of that? Anyway, thoughts on that? I love the purple, of course, is my color, so there you go. And we got a little yellow, the gold in there, which is the lights for the cities around the world, so I thought that was pretty cool. Yep, anyway. Charge Rob for dividends on the original Truth Report. You guys like the new banner? Okay, cool. And of course, for those in the know, that is the castle in Cape Town, in the mother city of Cape Town. So there you go. Okay. Well, I can't really change that now because I generated with the description I put in AI, so really can't do much about that. Mad Max wants me to look at his Mad Max. Okay. Wow, okay. Well, let me see what this is now. Is that the Sunnyside Prowler? What doxing is? Well, I haven't doxed anybody. She says I doxed refugees. I haven't doxed anybody. What is she talking about? Did you watch it, Max? Tell me about it. Yeah, let me just check on something here real quick. Hang on a second. Where's that at? All right. No, Starbucks is not till the 5th. Solid bone from ear to ear. Huh? New banner looks awesome. Happy birthday. Who's got a birthday? Oh, James got a birthday. Let's get that up very quickly here. Videos to show. Okay. Happy birthday. We put a cake up yesterday during the song because someone mentioned it was a birthday. Yeah, I haven't seen that. So I've just sent that video to an attorney in South Africa and asked them to take a look at it. So we'll see if there's any action there. Oh, God, that's terrible for Charles. Ronell, what's going on? Elmarie likes the banner. Bitter Ender, that was you we gave the birthday cake to earlier this morning. Yep. And someone else, James, has a birthday too, I guess, apparently. So, Mad Max, I see your WhatsApp. I'm not seeing your comments. I didn't watch the video. I've just sent it to an attorney to take a look at. So, they calculate based, I don't know, surgery, but cancer they calculate based on how aggressive it is. Oh, I guess you're talking about Charles's cancer here. All right, let me catch back up here now. So I've caught it. So Mad Max, I don't see you commenting. You sent me the link, but you didn't comment. So She's targeting the refugees that I've interviewed? Okay, well, then you're right. I doxed? How did I dox refugees? What a moron. What a moron. That's defamation. So she's got a criminal act on her hands if that's what she did. I didn't know. I didn't dox anybody. I didn't dox anybody. Whom did I dox? Somebody tell me whom I doxed. Yeah, remember, I'm the guy that didn't publish the video that would have got the world's attention and held it until people landed in the States. Well, thank you, the Thing of Nouns, for 70 Rand. No, I wonder which ANC tools have asked her to behave like this. Anyway. What is YW? I don't know what that means. Thank you for the super chat. Yeah. Anyway, so. Yep. I haven't seen that. I'm going to have to end the stream early to watch it so that I can. It's 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Where can you access my music? Well, you can go to DJ Silver Eagle Topic on YouTube. She claims you're a sensationalist. Don't do this and dox her after your name is being used. Well, then we're going to have to get her for defamation. So you listen there, sweetheart? You're committing a crime in South Africa. It's called defamation and criminal injury. Criminal injury still exists. You have no evidence of your lies. I need to watch this nonsense that's said about me. Yeah, no, I'll have a great case. I just sent it to an attorney, and I'll send it to another attorney here shortly in South Africa. Well, of course she's an evil woman, and these people are stupid. They overstep. So what I need to do is download the video before it disappears, because she'll make it disappear, I guarantee. These people, these cowards always do that. See, these are the people who harmed Amy a couple years ago, and they went after her for being that Twitter account, which she wasn't, and it turned out to be Joe Amelia's wife, and they virtually destroyed her life, cost her job. They're very dangerous people. One of them lives in New Zealand, and they're very evil, dangerous, nasty people. And I don't bother to get involved with them or talk to them. But what they're trying to do, with the effort here is to shut down refugees from talking to me, to be interviewed. Well, you want to drive her views up? Well, if you want to go comment, that's fine. So. Sadly, Chris Wyatt and the truth are not always on the same page. Sorry there, Tony. Never is the word you're looking for. Chris Wyatt and the truth are never on the same side. Colonel Chris, why, what not, is creating deliberate misinformation about stuff scripted by U.S. Foreign Intelligence Services. Somebody said, how much do your U.S. South African government handlers pay you for this? Do you want evidence of not being treated at government's hospitals, do you? Somebody said. Oh, that's Chris Ayers. Do I have the names and dates of the mother and father that died because black doctors didn't treat them? I have people on here who've told me that. So, yeah. He has proof of refusal of treatment, and then she doesn't respond to that. All right, I'll give you guys a link. So if you want to go just slam this, if you want to do that, that's up to you. Here's a link to that video. If you want to go, whatever, read it, watch it. I haven't watched it, so I have no idea. I'm just hearing what you guys are telling me. I'm reading the comments. So this is her comment back to Chris Ayers. He said that being attacked at home by black people, explain that. She said, many people in South Africa suffer from crime. Do you think that having white skin exempts you? Also, yeah. It doesn't matter how many awards anyone has received. Do you remember Oscar Pistorius on his medals? You see the corruption inside SAPS? Oh, somebody's coming after her here. UCIS doesn't think I'm stupid. UCIS doesn't think you're stupid? What's up with this lady? Her age is not too late to change careers by trying to be a reporter. No one is like a day grifter like the gentleman who made a video claiming this. He is the Officer Tatum of the Daily Wire from Timo. They're cooking here. Marley says, "Are you his new girlfriend?" So, oh, I know. They're just, these people are just brain dead. You know, it's first off, I haven't watched the video, but there's obviously blatant, outright lies about me. So once again, I played that video in which I responded to this, and I said, I'm not claiming. So she's lying about me if she's saying these things. I never claimed there wasn't a farm. I said the evidence appears that the farm is not operational, and I have no other information to indicate it is. Anyway, and then also I said that the person who actually went to the hospital, this guy claimed it. Anyway, wow. Yeah, she's trying to gain notoriety, but she's doing it by committing defamation. 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 Yep. Leftist crazy will learn the hard way when the snake bites him. They're shocked, and the snake says, "Well, you knew I was a snake. Why act so surprised?" Exactly. What she's trying to do, yeah, the voice is annoying. What she's trying to do is dissuade people from giving interviews. That's what it's all about. See, here's the problem. I'll tell you what the problem is. They are terrified that a colored or black South African, or more likely a colored Indian, who's come to America on the refugee program will be brave enough to come on and tell their story, or at least be interviewed by me, because then their whole world will collapse. Even today, fake news CNN falsely reports the program is for white South Africans only. Yeah, so they are terrified, and so they ramp up these attacks. That's what they're trying to do. And they were aided in the past by Twitter and YouTube and other social media sites who would silence people who told the truth. But that's no longer the case. They don't silence you for telling the truth anymore. They let you tell the truth for the most part. There are some things you still can't do because it's just too sensitive for them. But they're terrified. They're terrified. I did not see the bill. Paul, I know you sent me a message. I did not see that bill. Oh, Napoleon. Oh, no. I have friends in South Africa. I won't spend the money. I mean, I have to spend the money. I have friends in South Africa in the legal profession. So if she thinks that's the case, she thinks I won't do anything because... Scroll up, Mike. Scroll up. The link was posted. Yeah, I have friends who will take this case. So yeah, anyway, so I haven't seen the videos, so I don't know if there's defamation there. To date, she's just been an ass. Being an ass is not a crime. You can be an ass. Lots of asses out there. But defamation is a different story, and criminal injury is a different story. So anyway, I don't know why. She's looking for attention, but I think the real issue here, she's trying to frighten people from giving interviews. Yeah, so... Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, so much. Everyone, wait a second. What's that? Oh, yeah, exactly. Every interview I've done has been with people in English. So much for the Afrikaner story. Exactly. Hadn't thought about that. Nicola, I'm sure that refugees are finding it pretty chilly. As sensationalist. Somebody tell me one thing that's been sensationalist that I've said. I'm anybody. Anybody? I mean, if I've done it, I'll admit to it. No clickbait titles, no lies, no hyperbole. Except in joking, man, we correct the record when we're joking. I call people names. Who would I call names? Who did I call names? Who did I call names? Public officials? Public officials are open. They're open targets for name calling. That's just part of being in the public sphere. Well, it's chilly outside. It's 3 degrees Fahrenheit above freezing, so basically 1 degree above Celsius freezing. So basically just above zero. Weather in Pennsylvania is chilly right now. I just walked outside to get the news, or get the mail. Excuse me. Yeah, I heard about that. I was interviewed by Biz News this morning. Chris Sten had me on, and so yeah, Alex Hogue interviewed John Steenhuisen. I know that. Well, Mad Max at 1800, or 1900, I'm with Ronaldo. So anyway, I got that loaded. I'll watch it properly later. Same here. CDLs illegally issued in Pennsylvania. I have no idea. Possibly. I know California removed 17,000 illegally issued commercial driver's license. No, it's not cold. The sun is out. The snow is melting. It's just above freezing. It's nice. It's nice. A little chilly for some people. Yep. Yeah. No, I don't deny calling people names. If people insult me, I'll call them a name back. Like Trump, you punch me, I'm going to punch back. But if she thinks that I won't pursue a legal case against her if she's defamed me or committed criminal injury, she's smoking something that's illicit, because I do have friends that are attorneys in South Africa. And and I'm sure a couple of them would probably take the case on pro bono just to take her down. Yep. So Napoleon, she's very much mistaken. She thinks I won't do anything about it. Yeah, no, again, prove me wrong. Again, I read the articles that I published on the Daily Friend from last year. Hang on a second, I got to answer. So that was my dentist's office calling to confirm my appointment for tomorrow morning. So, wow, look at that. A country that works. Cracks. Yeah, okay. So anyway. If referring to the colonel calling people hate wankers as calling people names, what else should you call a hate wanker? Exactly. Hate wankers. By the way, did I name anybody by name when I said that? Oh, yeah, Marty, I know she responded to your comment, but she didn't get your comment. Should we really be watching her videos? Yeah, I know, exactly. But if there's defamation there, then that's why I wasn't going to share the link, but you all want to see it. Yes, James, I have sensationalized the Stormers. You were correct about that. Yeah, just like the video. There you go. Yeah, the hate wankers know who they are. Exactly. They know who they are. Love the background. What background? Do you mean for my new thumbnail for the broadcast? Beto O'Rourke want to give. That's in Texas. How did Beto O'Rourke give out fraudulent driver's license? He's not a government official. I'm confused. She thinks she's safe in South Africa. Anyway, she's not. Colonel, that's not even okay. Yeah. Marley, there you go. I didn't even call her that. You know, I was very careful in that video when I talked about this. Let's just do that before we get to the news, because it's early. We don't usually do the news this hour. So let me just go get that really quickly, okay? I was very careful because I intentionally did not defame anybody. So dislike it. Let me see. Where's that video at? So that I responded to that. Okay. There you go. So I published this on the 26th. So what, about a week ago? Okay. And this is, let's watch this. Okay. We watched some of it before, but watch a little bit more of it now. So this is the video I published in response. So first off, she did a video and my approach was just ignore it because it's just sensationalism. It's all her opinion and it wasn't based by any fact. Then she's actually accused me of not using facts. So I just ignored her first video. Then she came out with another video when she interviewed a gentleman who purported to be Thea's husband. Yeah, and so this is what I said in response to the second video, okay? So let's be clear, but this is in response to the second video, okay? Hey folks, good evening. This is Chris in Central Pennsylvania. I apologize for being on the road doing this on my mobile, but it's necessary to do this video because this is last Wednesday. We need to talk about something. A couple of videos have been posted over the past couple of days in South Africa. Yesterday, one offering an opinion about Thea van Straten and claiming that she wasn't a legitimate refugee, and I can't attest to whether she's a legitimate refugee or not. I didn't do the background investigations. I don't work for the U.S. government, and So what did I just say there? I just said there that I'm not the official who did the investigations into her case, so I can't state what her state. I just know that she came as a refugee. That's factual. When I interviewed her, she told her story. I asked her questions. It's not my story. I don't do the vetting for USCIS. I can trust that they've done it properly, unlike the Biden regime, which just let anybody and their brother come over without any vetting. So I can trust that that's the case. But in the case of Thea von Straten, today was the second interview, and this one can't be ignored. She interviewed a gentleman by phone who purported to be the husband of Thea von Straten. I don't know if he's a husband, ex-husband, partner, whatever the guy is. I really don't know. And I'm not... Okay, so right there, I just said I don't know his status, so there's no claims or defamation there. Here to disparage him, but I am here to talk about facts. So again, I don't know who he is. I don't know if he's the husband, the partner, the ex-husband. I don't know, boyfriend. I don't know his status. I don't know his legal status. I've never seen a marriage certificate. I've never met the gentleman. I do know some things about him which I haven't disclosed publicly. And by the way, I spoke to someone in South African media about this yesterday and again today about this story. And both of those people in the media knew things that I knew that they've confirmed on the ground that I'm not going to share because I'm not going to sink to that swamp about the gentleman. But I said nothing bad about him. Nothing. Thank you, Bitter Ender. Send a WhatsApp, not for you to. Okay, thank you. All right, Bitter Ender, I'll check into it. Thank you for making it rain. All right, so again, I'm not saying anything bad about him. I'm not claiming he's this or claiming that. But what I can claim is the following. I can tell you for a fact that there's some parts of this story that don't make sense and really need to be looked at a little closer. Okay, so what have I said? I said that the story that we heard on her video doesn't make sense. It needs to be examined more closely. Based on the claims this gentleman's making. First, the gentleman claimed that he did not know that... Notice, I haven't even named the person by name or even told people where to find the video. She had left the country until after she got to the States or she was gone. Well, in fact, that's an outright lie because the person who was her partner or husband or whatever the person was, that person actually followed her to Kempton Park, to the airport, and then tried to get in the hotel. Several security agents had to get involved. All the 59ers were briefed. So what I've just told you is factual information, and a person that wants to speak to the U.S. government, if they want to disclose it, can do that. You can talk to other 59ers about this issue, and they will confirm that what I just said is true, that they had to be briefed because of the threats. There were 2 other threats known to the 59ers at the venue where they were staying before they flew out. The government was aware of 2 known demonstrable threats to them, and then this guy shows up after stalking her at the airport. So I don't know if the person stalked her, like I said in this video, is the gentleman claiming to be her husband, but I do know that the person who did show up there is her husband or her partner. And so anyway, about that threat and other threats that were made to them and to her specifically in that case. And so the person who purports to be her spouse or her partner actually knew that she was leaving because that person followed her to the airport, to the hotel. And then that person tried to cause chaos at the airport. So if, in fact, this person is her partner or husband, that's a lie. He clearly knew that she was going to the States before she left for the States because he stalked her, whoever this person was. I don't know the person. I don't know the name. Again, I don't know who it was. I wasn't there. I just know that the authorities said that it was her partner or spouse or former spouse. And I'm not really here to tell you that. I'm just here to tell you that the person that was her partner or spouse stalked her to the airport and then caused chaos with security at the hotel near the airport and got a lot of people very excited about what's happening. That's the first problem. The second problem is the gentleman... Okay, so Scoops, without telling more of the story, you might be onto something. All right? You might be onto something. Claims that the farm is still in operation. Well, I know what farm it is, and I was aware of it before the refugee program ever even began. And so before the refugee program began, Thea is one of many people who contacted me out of the blue to ask questions or, comment on my videos. And I have the signature block. I have the image, the name of the farm, the domain where the farm was at. I have all the information. I know all of that. I knew about this. I didn't pay a lot of attention to it because I never knew that she was going to become a refugee, that there was going to be a refugee program. But I have that information. And anyway, so let me continue. I can tell you this much. The domain for that farm doesn't exist. It existed in April. It existed in the beginning of May, but it's gone. You don't find it because the domain is no longer paid for because there's no longer an operational farm, working historical farm there. So if you go searching for that farm today, you won't find a website. Now you will find a Facebook. So yeah, why do people lie, Spicy Tunes? Because they get away with it. And yes, you can prosecute somebody for defamation, and you can prosecute them for criminal injury in South Africa. And it's been done many, many times. In fact, it is in the law. So Anime says, I can confirm immediately after Chris acknowledged that information was made public, I made contact with a believed to be 59 from the group that confirmed similar info that Chris analyzed. Yep.
Facebook page, but interestingly enough, of course, Facebook is free. A lot of businesses use Facebook because it's free, but that Facebook site was last updated on April 4th. Also, I can tell you that...
So the domain for the farm is defunct, which can happen. You have to pay your $15 or $35 per year, depending on the domain service. But the domain for that farm no longer exists. It's empty. There's nothing there. At least it wasn't on the date that I did this video last Wednesday. And the only other social media presence they had was a Facebook page. The Facebook page has its last comment and update on April 4th, a month before Thea left. So no one's updating their Facebook page. What hotel or lodge or gaming venture do you know where there's no updates on their Facebook page and they don't have a page you can go and visit? Now, not everyone has a page. A lot of small businesses just rely on Facebook or something like that to do their business. But I had a comment from some twit who said that, I guess I'm calling people names. The person's a twit, but I didn't identify them. So some twit who said that I don't know what I'm talking about because I know nothing about the tourism industry. That person's a moron. I know more about the tourism industry than they could possibly know. Give me a freaking break. And they're like, well, yeah, because booking's coming on. Says, I know about Agoda and about, booking.com and Expedia and all these sites. Give me a freaking break. Having a game lodge or a farm or a rest or a hotel listed on one of those sites doesn't mean that you're a going venture. It doesn't mean that. For instance, the Wartburg Hotel north of Pietermaritzburg, one of my favorite places to stay overnight, went out of business. And they weren't around, but they were still listed on booking.com and Expedia. I tried to book rooms until someone finally confirmed with me from that area that they're out of business. They shut down after the World Cup in 2019. Exactly, Janine. It's very crucial. So these people think they know something. They have no experience in business, no experience in government, no experience in military, no experience in healthcare, no experience in and they just try to run people down. Anyway, so
that the agents that were familiar with her case actually spoke to a few of the 59ers and explained to them what was going on about that farm that had not been in operation for some time. So I don't know who the gentleman is. I haven't been to the farm. I can just relate to you.
So I just stated unequivocally that I don't know who the person on the other end of that phone call is. I didn't even imply that his cowardice, the unwillingness to come on screen, it means he's not legitimate. I didn't even say that. I never even made that claim. So I don't know what she's on about.
Reliably, from reliable sources, what actually happened. So I can state for a fact that two of the claims that were spoken by whomever the gentleman is in the video, and I don't know who he is, I'm not trying to throw shade at him if he's really the partner, but if that's the partner, then he wasn't telling the truth. If he's not the partner, that would explain why he doesn't know that the partner stalked her to the airport hotel and then caused chaos with security at the airport hotel. And there are witnesses, many witnesses to this. So there's a problem with people lying. The second one is that if that farm is in existence, and it's plausible that it is in existence, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it doesn't exist. What I'm saying is that its website for people to book doesn't work. It doesn't exist. The domain is gone. I'm also telling you that the Facebook page was last updated on April 4th. So if you're a guest house or a hotel, don't you want to keep your social media presence current? April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. 7, 8 months later, you don't have a social media presence and you're in business to make money by having guests come there? Something fishy going on here. And that's where I'll leave it. No allegations or anything else other than that there's a fishy story here. Now, I'm sure I'll be attacked.
So I just right there, I didn't name anyone. I didn't name her. I didn't name the gentleman. I didn't accuse him of anything. And I just stated the facts. So, these people are bizarre.
For reporting facts, but I'm reporting facts, not opinion. Facts have been corroborated. Facts have been run down with multiple sources. So if people want to attack me for that, that's their shortcomings and their moral failings, not mine. But there's the story from what I know. Now, as far as the interview, I had a number of refugees freaking out, calling me, oh my gosh, she's a fake refugee. Now we're not going to get to go.
Tika van Rensburg, I'm not commenting. I'm just saying that I'm explaining what I said. I'm not commenting. I said I haven't watched the video. Did you hear me say that? Did you hear me say that? But she has in the past, the things I have commented on, she has said about me. So I've said nothing about that video because I haven't watched it. I wish people would pay attention to what's being said and not what they want to hear.
If a refugee commits fraud, and I'm not aware of any fraud being committed here, but if a refugee commits fraud, that's a person that can be sent back. That's why your refugee status is provisional. It gets revoked for two reasons. Either the underlying conditions that granted it to you, like the end of a conflict or the end of 145 race-based laws, or you commit fraud. And right now, the Trump administration is...
So, Tiki, to go back to your point here, last night, several of my viewers on the Night Owls were upset about a video on the Truth Report in which Rob Herself interviewed DJ Wafa, whatever his name is. And they're all upset. And they said, well, the Truth Report's supposed to be about truth. They need to take this back. I can't watch that channel anymore. I said, well, slow down. So we watched the video in question. They told me where the thing was. And I explained to people that, where the guy's coming from. So anyway, so I don't comment on these things without seeing them. So I'm not commenting on that video. I'm commenting on her past comments about me, and I'm explaining what I said. So this is what I said. And see, this is actually, I'm actually doing this from very, I'm putting myself at jeopardy, if you want to say that, because I'm explaining what I said here. I don't even know what the allegations are, if there are any there. So
going to look at 233,000 refugee cases, every single one that came in under the 4 years of Joseph Biden. Why? Because of perceptions or evidence of pervasive fraud committed either by the refugees who came here or more likely by the Biden regime and letting them in the country. Anyway, so there you have it, folks. There's some facts. I'm sure that I'll get grilled by haters, but I'm all about telling the truth, and that's the truth. As far as me interviewing her, she was what she purported to be, one of the first refugees to go over. She told her story. It's her story, not mine, and I interviewed her. You can choose to believe what you want to believe. I can't make people believe anything. All I can do is present the facts and give you accurate, cogent, insightful, lucid analysis, which I do every day. Cheers.
Yeah, so that's all I said. So, yeah. Anyway, enough of that nonsense for now. Let's get to the news. Yes, Anime, you're correct. So many content creators ride off the work that I do, even ones that aren't evil, even people that we like that are decent people. They ride off my content, and I go out of my way not to. I mean, Ronaldo and I try to deconflict some of the videos we do. Sometimes we do videos on the same topic, but we have different views and different takes on it. So you can watch one or both or neither. But he and I have actually openly, I'm like, Ronaldo, why don't you do this story? He's like, Chris, why don't you do this story? So that we don't duplicate anything. No. So, I mean, but there are a lot of people who are riding off my content, a lot of people. And you know what? It's a shame I don't get all the views they get. I mean, I love how other people use my content to promote themselves, and people are like, oh, you're so right. You're so right. That's so insightful. And all they're doing is repeating and even oftentimes even acknowledge it. So thank you for that. But whatever, whatever. If you're taking flack, you have to be over the target. You made it in time for the news. We didn't get to the news. Now it's time for the news because we're down to an hour and I got a lot of news. First off, the United Kingdom, it looks like they want to follow through on their promise for the just energy transition. That's right, folks. Woo! Free money for the ANC. Yay! That house, that dream house I wanted in Hood Constantia is mine now. Wait, I'm not a caterer, so I'm not going to get any of this money. Damn it. Damn it. Damn it, Jim. I'm only a human. Can't give you more. It's warp 9.6. She can't take it any longer, Captain. Anyway, yeah. UK considers keeping a $1 billion pledge alive with South Africa amid slow energy transition. Yeah, because only Germany's coughed up the money. UK is considering extending a $1 billion debt guarantee for South Africa as the facility approaches its expiry date without having been activated, raising questions about the pace and direction of the country's energy transition program. Ladies and gentlemen, what did I warn you about the G20? When the South African fake news came out, so, all the G20 members and the Europeans, they loved it. They like the debt relief. They're going to work with us. Then they had a summit in Angola, the EU-Africa summit. Oh, we're going to share with Africa. And suddenly, all the headlines in the fake media in South Africa aren't colonialism and the colonists, the evil English and white people from Europe who raped and pillaged Africa. Our friends in Europe who are going to work with us for debt relief, and they're going to give us money for energy transformation. Yeah, remember that? None of that's coming. What did I tell you? I warned you the Europeans never follow through. If they do, it's token, just for window dressing, just to get credit. Ooh, look, we gave $50 million. Like the Chinese. Look, China is helping South Africa fight its HIV scourge. Indeed, indeed, indeed. China has now donated a whopping $3.49 million. Not today, not for this week, not for this month, not for this year, but over a 2-year period. $1.75 million. Ooh, Hercules, Hercules, Hercules. So well done, China. Let's see what the U.S. has done for South African HIV. That's China's total commitment. $8.1 billion. Billion dollars, folks. And they're giving 3.49 over 2 years, 1.75 million. And I keep hearing the snow roll off my solar panels on the roof. It sounds like there's an earthquake. And so, wow, they're doing so well. It's like the Europeans. Oh, they've promised. Yeah, well, honest officer. She said she was 18. yeah. Promises don't mean anything. Deliveries are what matter. And the UK has not delivered this $1 billion. Now they're talking about delivering it. Well, South Africa has a plan B. The butterfly plan. Woo. What are we going to do? Well, now they have plan B. Interesting enough, plan B still includes America. South Africa is adopting a new butterfly strategy that involves trade agreements with other countries and economic blocs as relations with the United States deteriorate. South Africa expects to be notified by the U.S. that it will be excluded from participating in a Group of 20 meetings during its presidency. Officials in Pretoria, familiar with discussions, asked not to be identified because the information is private, said they believe an announcement is imminent. Wow. Well, here's their plan. The butterfly plan. There is Minister of No Trade, Parks Tau. Yep. So they're looking at this. In lieu of any progress in the United States, progress is being made with the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. Trade is ramping up under the Southern African Customs Union, and South Africa is forging new partnerships with the European Union. Okay, stop right there. The African Continental Free Trade Trade Area doesn't exist. It's a Potemkin village. It's a piece of paper. None of the barriers between these countries have come down. None of the tariffs, none of the quotas, none of the restrictions, nothing. It's been in effect now since COVID. Partial effect. So what is done? What trade is increased? Is it cheaper now to ship a container from Mombasa to Durban than it was to send it from China to Durban? No. The cost of shipping a container from Mombasa to Durban, I don't know the current cost, but 4 or 5 years ago, it was 3 and 4 times the cost of shipping the same container all the way across the planet from China. So what trade barriers have come down? How is the African Continental Free Trade Agreement working? But they call it area. It's agreement. It's not. There's no area. It's agreement. It's the term. The trade is ramping up under the Southern African Customs. SACU, really? Trade is ramping up? What do you mean? It's the oldest customs union in the world, SACU. It's been around forever, over a century old. How is it ramping up? Are you exporting more stuff to Botswana? Are they sending you more stuff? Is Namibia, Zimbabwe, Malawi? There's nothing happening there. This is just bullshit being fed to you by liars. If it was being ramped up, tell us how. Tell us how the Continental Free Trade Agreement is making a difference. Don't just say it's doing it. Tell us how. And South Africa is forging new partnerships with the European Union. Yeah, okay, sure. We'll see how that goes. The plan is to launch a new butterfly strategy to diversify its exports markets, where the country will spread its wings to establish category-specific exports to 27 priority markets. So they're coming up with a plan, and they're going to ship certain things to certain countries. I mean, as a capitalist, don't you just want to ship things to wherever you can sell it? I mean, if people in Pakistan suddenly wanted to watch my content, wouldn't I want them to watch it? I mean, why would I say, no Pakistan. We want no Pakistan watching my channel. No, only those white Europeans, only those colored South Africans, no Pakistanis. What the hell? I mean, that's what this plan is. I mean, it's ridiculous. Here's their plan. In Africa, they have 9 priority countries, which makes sense to a degree, but one of the most important countries in Africa isn't even on there. Mozambique, which is a nothing. DRC is a nothing, except for minerals. Egypt is on there. That's smart. Ghana's on there. Kenya's on there. Nigeria's on there. Senegal, Ethiopia, Angola. Those are all smart moves. But where is Morocco? Morocco could easily replace Mozambique in this list. And the United States. They want to send machinery, metal products, aluminum plates. I mean, these are idiots, bureaucrats who have no idea what they're doing. So this is their plan. There you go. That's it. Wow. So they made a list of countries where we want to ship certain products. Why don't you want to ship your products everywhere? Scoops, someone must know something. You need a date. Yeah, show me one play in the last 30 years that work. Well, not happy camper. There is a need because now there's a record, and at trial, it can be introduced as evidence. That's why I did it. They are parasites, yep. I can't share the snow. It would melt by the time it gets to where you're at. The Rugby World Cup 2027 pools have been drawn today. South Africa winds up in a cakewalk pool, but they're set up for a trap game in the quarterfinals, facing the number 3 from Pool A. So let's talk about that. Here are the pools. Let me get those up on the screen very quickly. And this is the Rugby World Cup 2027 pools. Pool A is New Zealand, Australia, Chile, and Hong Kong. Pool B, South Africa has Italy, Georgia, and Romania. Should be a undefeated pool for them. Pool C, Argentina has Fiji. That'll be a challenge for them. Spain and Canada. Pool D is probably the most difficult pool out there with Ireland, Scotland, Uruguay, and Portugal. Uruguay and Portugal cannot be dismissed. They can upset any of those teams. So there are no really difficult pools, but that's probably the most difficult pool. Pool E is France, Japan, USA, and Samoa. USA has a tough road to hoe. Japan and Samoa are tough for them to beat, but they could beat both teams if they improve between now and 2027. In Pool F, it's England, Wales, Tonga, and Zimbabwe. That is a very easy pool. So coming out of that, I would expect to see New Zealand, South Africa, Argentina, Ireland, France, and England all win their pools. There you go. That's the 2027 pool draw. And that was announced today. As I said, this took place in Australia with some Australian and New Zealand celebrities there, including Dan Carter. So, yeah, pools confirmed for Rugby World Cup in 2027 in Australia. And there you go. So, well, the pool draw, Springboks and All Blacks on an early collision course. Yep, they could wind up facing each other. They're in Pool B with 3 European opponents, as I mentioned. Ireland and Scotland being the heavyweights in Pool D, and they'll face Uruguay and Portugal. And there's the little, fill in the chart right there. Who advances? Who advances? So it should be interesting. So they have a round of 16 now, not just the quarterfinals. Round of 16, then the quarterfinals, semifinals, final. So you got to win 4 games to get all the way there. So, well, the Buck pool is something that we shouldn't just dismiss, according to some of the pundits. Here's the story. The Bucks pool looks easy, but the playoff booby traps and All Blacks or Wallabies await. Yep, indeed. South Africa's 2027 Rugby World Cup has Buck written all over it. In a group containing Italy, Georgia, and Romania, they should be able to proceed through without any hassles. However, it is the quarterfinals where the World Cup school fees will have to be paid properly. One in New Zealand or Australia more than likely await. Yep, so I'll take Australia over New Zealand in that pick. Springbok legend, former player, has passed away. It's Henny van Zyl. Has passed away at the age of 89. He was suffering from dementia. Former Springbok wing Hendrik Jacobus Henny van Zyl passed away on Monday at the age of 89. At the time of his passing, van Zyl, who was born on January 31st, 1936, near Ventersdorp, was the second oldest living Springbok after Frick de Preer, who celebrated his 90th birthday on the 28th of November. Van Zyl, who made his debut against New Zealand in Johannesburg on June 5th, 1960. I venture to say that almost none of us were alive at that time. There might be 1 or 2 people in the chat, but I wasn't even alive when he played for the Springboks. Yep, at the age of 24, was a wing with speed to burn. He scored 2 tries on debut, and a year later recorded a hat trick against Australia at the same venue. The Lions, then called Transvaal Speedster, played 10 tests in 1960 and 61. South African Rugby President Mark Alexander paid tribute to a player who always gave everything he had for his teams. A left wing with lots of pace, Henny van Zyl was a formidable Springbok who started his career in the forwards before moving to the wing, where he scored many tries for the Bucks and Transvaal. Even when his father tragically passed away in South Africa while Henny was with the Bucks on their Grand Slam tour between December 1960 and January 61, he never gave anything but his best for the jersey. Unfortunately, his health started deteriorating a few years ago, and he finally lost a battle with dementia. Henny van Zyl, gone at 89. Well, there's a twist in the Eben Etzebeth story, folks, about the eye gouging incident. The judges couldn't reach a consensus. That might be good news for Eben. Last night, they could not reach a consensus, having met at 7 p.m. and adjourned at midnight, asking for a delay in announcing their sanctions against Eben Etzebeth for the supposed eye gouging story. This might be good news for him, or it could be bad, but I suspect it's good. Springbok lock Eben Etzebeth will have to wait a while longer to learn his fate after he appeared before World Rugby Disciplinary Panel Tuesday night. The 2-time Rugby World Cup winner was handed a straight red card after making aggressive contact with Welsh flanker Alex Mann's eye. News 24 understands the hearing started at 7 p.m. and concluded just before midnight. The panel could not reach consensus and asked for the verdict to be delayed. 3 people on the panel said they need more time to consider an outcome. They need to get this right. Well, that is interesting. Let's see what happens. We can't say they rushed to judgment, that's for darn sure. Well, he's in the Cheslin Colby mold. And who are we talking about? Yeah, we're talking about the Griquas, Gershwin Ver. Yeah, Gershwin Ver now is signed with the Sale Sharks. Good for him. Attention being focused on a really fantastic player. So, English club Sale Sharks have brought in some serious speed from South Africa. On Tuesday, the club revealed that they have signed Griquas wing Gershwin Ver to an initial short-term contract through the end of February. The 27-year-old who started as his team won South Africa's prestigious Currie Cup this year has joined as injury cover for Joe Carpenter's recovering from ankle injury. He started his career with the Griffins before switching to the Griquas, who play in Kimberley last season. Yep. He also represented the Sharks in URC and South Africa at the sevens level. Gershwin Ver now for the Sale Sharks. Awe Masakina. What's going on? They'll make him play for Wales. Oh, you mean Ebenezabeth? I think 4 weeks. I think you're right about that, Alan. It might be 6. Guess who voted against passing the increased pass rate? The ANC or the EFF? Yeah, Aben. Well, I don't say. I said Ebenezabeth. Aben. 10 countries in Africa with the most debt to the IMF. Let's talk about those. To stabilize economies under pressure from inflation, weakening currencies, and declining public revenues, governments in Africa sometimes turn to the International Monetary Fund. But let's take a look at the debtors. Here you go. Egypt owes almost $7 billion to the IMF. Cote d'Ivoire, $3 billion. Kenya, $3 billion. Angola, $2.7 billion. Ghana, $2.6 billion. The DRC, $2 billion. Ethiopia, $1.5 billion. Tanzania, $1.3 billion. Cameroon, $1.2 billion. And Zambia, $1.1 billion. So there you go. And that's the debt that they want us to relieve. Yes, let's just make that all go away. Why? Who are the top rare earth element producers in Africa, or those with the most potential? Well, let's talk about the ones with the most reserves. The 3 countries with most reserves include one that many of you know about. Africa's rare earth sector is emerging as a key player in this marketplace. And who are the 3 biggies? Tanzania, then comes South Africa and Nigeria. Tanzania has estimated reserves, rare earth elements, 890,000 tons. South Africa, 790,000, 860,000 tons. And Nigeria has 127,000 tons of proven reserves thus far. But Nigeria has many promising areas that have not been surveyed yet, so they might jump up there. But South Africa has projects in Steenkampskraal, Palabora, Zandkopsdrift, and Glenover. And several will begin production by 2029. So, lots of unexplored areas in Nigeria. So, rare earth elements, Africa is going to join the market and get in there because the Chinese are acting like fools. Well, one country in Africa has massive oil reserves. Massive for them. It's a small country. And they have yet to exploit them. And these reserves were discovered in the early part of this century. And when I lived in Uganda in 2013, 2014 timeframe, they were supposed to begin exploiting them. But they have yet to exploit the petroleum reserves. Uvari Museveni is sitting on this oil and not exporting it. I've always said that they had enough pretty much for domestic consumption, which would make them not dependent on others, and they shouldn't bother exporting oil, but they want to export it. But now they found another massive oil find in Uganda, where the Albertine Basin has been a massive place for oil deposits. Uganda is East Africa's non-producing oil nation, reported one of its largest discoveries in more than a decade after a state-owned oil company identified 9 potential wells in the Kasu-Orban block, estimated to contain 600 million barrels of recoverable crude. That's insane. That's a lot of oil. It's the most significant energy advancement for Uganda in more than a decade, which is still not shipping oil out. Still not shipping it out. Commercial production from 2 projects is scheduled for the second half of 2026, with peak output projected at 200,000 barrels per day. We are still not there. I left Uganda in 2014, and here we are 11 years later, and they're still not producing oil. Nope. Guinea-Bissau, well, they say they cannot count the votes. The Electoral Commission is unable to finalize results after armed men steal the vote tally. Guinea-Bissau's Electoral Commission said yesterday that it's unable to finalize results of a disputed presidential vote after armed men broke into its office and stole the vote tally sheets the same day the military seized power. The break-in happened on November 26th. Yikes. Africa. It ain't for sissies. It ain't for sissies. Hamas has sent remains to Israel that are not the hostages. So are they dumping their own dead now, pretending they're Israelis? Dispute over the remains of the last 2 hostages comes as Israel says the Rafah crossing will reopen for outbound traffic. The remains handed over to Israel by the terrorist group Hamas on December 2nd are not linked to any of the deceased Israeli hostages. They received the remains, which Prime Minister's officer called findings, on December 2nd via the Red Cross. Following the identification process by the National Center for Forensic Medicine, the Israeli authorities said the remains don't belong to any of the Israeli hostages. Wow. So Hamas is playing fast and slick. Where are the remaining hostages at? South Korea's new president, Lee. Well, thank you, Louis Boysons, for your membership. Good evening to you. South Korea's President Lee vows strict accountability for martial law perpetrators a year after Yoon's self-coup attempt. Here's the problem with this. Why are they demonically going after the people involved? It wasn't a coup. The president had the authority to do what he did. He did it, and then the parliament can refute it. The parliament refuted it, and he stepped down. So what's the coup? He followed the law. South Korea's President Lee Jae-myung vowed strict accountability for the perpetrators behind last year's failed martial law attempt by former leader Yoon Suk-yeol, calling the upheaval a test of the country's democratic resilience. Speaking in a special address to the nation, Lee described the events as a revolution of light. He added the investigation of trials tied to the insurrection remain underway. It's not an insurrection. He had the power to dissolve Parliament, did, and declare martial law. He did. Parliament can convene and overrule him, and they did. And he stepped down. He didn't fight it. I don't get this. It's just utter nonsense. I mean, look, you don't like it. I didn't agree he should have done it, but that's not the point. The point is he followed the law, and he's being prosecuted for it. Well, strangely enough, 11 years later, Malaysian Airlines MH370, which is yet to be found, lots of speculation about where it went down. They're going to resume the search. The search for missing Malaysia Airlines flight MH370 will resume on December 30th, Malaysia's transport ministry said Wednesday, more than a decade after the Beijing-bound flight disappeared in one of the world's greatest aviation mysteries, right up there with Amelia Earhart. Flight MH370, a Boeing 777, was carrying 227 passengers and 12 crew when it vanished en route from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing in 2014. Multiple search operations for the plane have been conducted since then. All have proven fruitless. Most recent search in the southern Indian Ocean was suspended in April after just a few weeks due to poor weather conditions. Exploration firm Ocean Infinity has confirmed it would recommence seabed operations in 55 days. Malaysia will pay the firm $70 million if substantive wreckage is found during the search on the seabed of an area of the southern Indian Ocean. They have conducted prior searches of the plane up until 2018 but failed finding any substantive wreckage. Parts of the plane purportedly have shown up on the coast of African islands, but no one's ever conclusively proven what happened to MH370. A man unexpectedly cured of HIV after a stem cell transplant, which is not news in itself, except when you find out that these were not stem cells resistant to HIV. A handful of people with HIV have been cured after receiving HIV-resistant stem cells, but a man who received non-resistant stem cells is also now HIV-free, or so they claim. A man has become the 7th person to be left HIV-free after receiving a stem cell transplant to treat blood cancer. Significantly, he is also the 2nd of 7 who received stem cells that were not actually resistant to the virus, strengthening the case that HIV-resistant cells may not be necessary for an HIV cure. Seeing that a cure is possible without this resistance gives us more options for curing HIV. Wow. 5 people have previously become free of HIV after receiving stem cells from donors who carried a mutation in both copies of a gene encoding a protein called CCR5, which HIV uses to infect immune cells. This led scientists to conclude that having 2 copies of the mutation which completely removes CCR5 from immune cells was crucial. The belief was that using these HIV-resistant stem cells was essential, but now we have someone who didn't have the resistant cell. Interesting development there. Well, Al Jazeera and many media outlets are reporting the same story today, that the United Nations claims that artificial intelligence will spread the Gini coefficient. The inequality will spread around the world. Really? Seriously? Report warns of potential great divergence with developed states profiting and others left behind. Artificial intelligence risks increasing inequality between developed and developing countries. The report, titled The Next Great Divergence and released by the United Nations Development Program, Regional Bureau on Tuesday calls for urgent, coordinated policy action to manage the impact of technology. So now we can't advance technologically because it'll leave people behind. Well, why don't you catch up? Good Lord. Stupid stuff. Well, European Union proposes using frozen Russian assets to give 90 billion euros to Ukraine. But Belgium is fighting this. They say no. Yep, this is what they've been trying to do for some time now. But Belgium, which holds the bulk of the assets, has voiced a range of concerns and said it had not been satisfactorily addressed by the proposals. No, they want to steal Russia's money and give it to Ukraine. That's not right. NATO's chief, the former Prime Minister of the Netherlands, dismisses concerns about U.S. commitments to the alliance ahead of Ukraine meeting. Of course, Mark Rutte brushed off fresh concern Tuesday about the United States' commitment to the military organization on the eve of a meeting of allied foreign ministers focused on Russia's war against Ukraine. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has expected to miss Wednesday's meeting, but the bottom line here is the United States is committed to NATO. We've never backed out of it. Trump never backed out of it. The media just lied about it, and people bought it hook, line, and sinker. All Trump says is you need to start paying your fair share. You all agreed in 2012 to raise your spending to 2% of GDP, and only a handful of countries have done it. Now they've agreed 5%, so let's see what happens. Well, the United Kingdom has decided to scrap jury trials for crimes that have sentences of 3 years or less. This is a bit concerning. So who decides your fate? A judge? Is this like South Africa? I don't think so. Yeah, jury trials in England and Wales for crimes that carry a likely sentence of less than 3 years will be scrapped, the Justice Secretary said, David Lammy. The reforms to the justice system include creating swift courts under the government's plan to tackle unprecedented delays in the court system. Serious offenses, including murder, robbery, and rape, will still go before a jury, and volunteer community magistrates, who deal with the majority of all criminal cases, will take on even more work. Voluntary community magistrates. So I can volunteer to be a judge and pass judgment on people, even though I'm not an esteemed attorney. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Badenoch and Starmer are clashing over budget with the Prime Minister's questions. Prime Minister Keir Starmer has been quizzed by MPs in the first Prime Minister's questions since last week's budget. Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch focuses on the fallout from last week's budget, the briefing that went on before suggesting the government has fallen into total shambles. Well, I do not disagree. The United Kingdom's government is in shambles. It's also racist. It's also anti-British. Ironically, the government hates its own people. Well, Venezuela accepts migrant repatriation flight from the U.S., despite the fact that supposedly we're in a tough time. They took the flight. The flight's approval illustrates how the United States and Venezuela are still communicating after a declaration from President Trump that Venezuelan airspace was closed in its entirety. Wow. The Aeronautic Authority of Venezuela has received a request from the government of the United States to restart migrant repatriation flights. Venezuela has regularly been accepting flights with repatriated migrants from the United States in recent months, even as the U.S. military has been striking small boats. Well, maybe it's not as bad as people make it out to be. United States strikes on alleged drug boats will begin to include land locations. This was in yesterday's cabinet meeting. We covered it. Wow. President Trump said Tuesday that the U.S. military would very soon carry out missile strikes on land against drug traffickers in some South American countries as he plans to expand operations that so far focused on smugglers' boats in the Caribbean Sea. Yeah, Trump said a lot of things yesterday that were fascinating, including this. Trump has doubled down and reiterated his plan to issue tariff dividend payments to Americans and increase tax refunds. The president and members of his cabinet touted a message around the economy during a Tuesday White House meeting. Next year is projected to be the largest tax refund season ever, and we're going to give out refunds out of the tariffs. He said that along with giving a nice dividend to the people, there will be efforts to reduce the national debt with the revenues generated by the tariffs. We are going to make a dividend to the people. As time goes by, those numbers are going to go up. Well, I don't know about that. I think we should just pay the debt down and not worry about giving people money to juice the economy. U.S. Homeland Secretary Kristi Noem has called for more travel bans. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said she will recommend a travel ban on several countries which she claims are flooding the U.S. with criminal activity. Well, there are already 19 countries on the list, 10 of them in Africa. Yep. President Trump says he had a great talk with Brazil's Lula discussing sanctions trade, but what about Bolsonaro? Did you ask to get him out of prison? U.S. President Donald Trump said on December 2nd he spoke by phone with Brazilian President Lula da Silva to discuss trade sanctions and how to combat organized crime. Speaking to reporters at the White House, Trump said they had a great talk. We talked about trade. We talked about sanctions because, as you know, I sanctioned them for having to do certain things that took place. But we had a very good talk. So, will Bolsonaro be freed or pardoned? I doubt it. Let's see. Trump administration has paused immigration applications for 19 nations that are on the travel ban list. Trump administration has paused all immigration applications from 19 countries. They include Afghanistan, Myanmar, Chad, Republic of Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Yemen, Burundi, Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, Turkmenistan, and Venezuela. Bad things are happening. So CNN, fake news CNN, and they are fake news CNN. I'm going to show you how they're fake news CNN, so just stick with me. What are linemen? Linemen are the people who work on power lines. They climb poles, and they fix power lines. Famous song back in the 50s. Lineman for the county. Yep. So let's see what fake news CNN has to say about Trump. How Trump is intensifying his crackdown on every form of immigration in the U.S. Okay? A lot of truth in this story. He says Trump's mass deportation campaign. And then come down here. Border is essentially closed. Look at this. For much of the first 3 years of Joe Biden's criminal enterprise, the southern border was overwhelmed by the number of illegals seeking to cross into the United States and violate our sovereignty. Yep. Look at this. Look at those numbers. You see all that gray is Joe Biden. All the way up until Trump to the right. And look at it. It just collapses under Trump. It's almost nothing. Almost nothing. These are people caught. So, what else? Asylum cases have stopped. Following the shooting of members of the National Guard in D.C. last week, the USCIS announced it was halting all asylum decisions until we can ensure that every alien is vetted. There were more than 2.2 million immigrants awaiting asylum decisions. Okay, first off, if you're an asylum seeker, you are not an immigrant. That's a lie. See, they don't even know how to use the language properly. Fake news CNN. You are not an immigrant if you're an asylum seeker. You're not an immigrant if you're a refugee. That can be changed. You can become an immigrant. Once you're granted asylum, then you can be considered. But you can't be. 2.2 million people are waiting for asylum, and almost all of them are frauds. Kick them out of the country. DHS said it was reviewing all asylum decisions. And temporary protected status has been terminated for multiple countries, including Sudan. Yep. 17 countries were covered by TPS designations as of late March for 1.3 million foreign nationals, 606,000 of whom are Venezuelans. They moved to NTPS status or reverse extensions for Venezuela, Afghanistan, Cameroon, Nepal, Honduras, Nicaragua, and Syria. Refugee admissions stopped except for white South Africans. Now, see, that's a lie. Fake news. Fake news. Fake news. CNN fake news, man. Yellow journalism. Fraud. The Trump administration in October announced it was restricting the number of refugees in the United States would admit 7,500 each year, a minuscule amount for a country that had long been a beacon to millions of people fleeing war. Well, that's not our purpose, to be a beacon for people. Fix your countries. In 2024, the U.S. submitted over 100,000 refugees, primarily from the DRC, Afghanistan, Venezuela, and Syria, almost none of whom should be here. The main group being welcomed under Trump is white South Africans. So the fake news here codifies it once you get in the story. The president and officials within his administration, including his sometimes advisor, claim the group is facing persecution. Yep. Well, it's not, except white South Africans. So fake news, CNN. Fake news, CNN. The corrupt government of South Africa strongly refuted the administration's claims. So what? So what? Green cards are under scrutiny now, and work visas have been restricted. Yep. Student visas reduced, but not much. Not much. I mean, this is the difference here. February to May of 2024, almost 100,000. February to May 2025, over 80,000. Yeah, almost no change. So there's the F1 and the J1 visas. Virtually no change. They're freaking out over that. That's almost nothing. Almost nothing. So fake news CNN. Well, here's how the media distorts and misleads people. So the special election took place in Tennessee on Tuesday, yesterday. The results are in. And the Republican won overwhelmingly. I reported last night. He got 54% of the vote. She got 45%. That's an overwhelming win. Anything over, 53%, it's a huge, you get a gap of 10 points there. But how are the media reporting it? Well, the Epoch Times reports the truth. This is a proper headline. Republican Matt Van Epps wins the Tennessee special election. After a race that some polls had predicted could see raised within margins, he easily held the district for the GOP. Now, that's factual. That's the truth. That's the truth. The former state commissioner and Army helicopter pilot defeated Democratic nominee Afton Bain with a 53.2% of the vote in the highly publicized race. We did it. Tonight we sent a message loud and clear. People of Tennessee stand with President Trump. And then the Philadelphia Inquirer, which is a leftist rag, says Republicans barely won in a Trump-friendly Tennessee district. Wow. What does it mean for Pennsylvania? It doesn't mean anything because you're just liars, Philadelphia Inquirer. You're just liars. Associated Press called the race in Tennessee's 7th Congressional District for Republican Matt Van Epps, who was leading by 9 points with 99% of the vote in. That's a steep decline from the 22-point win Donald Trump recorded in the same district last year and a 39-point victory in 2016. Van Epps is not Donald Trump. Comparing apples to oranges. Presidential candidate versus a congressional candidate? Nonsense. See, dishonest. This is fake news. Fake news, Philadelphia Inquirer, which most of their stories are behind a paywall. This one wasn't. Gee, I wonder why. Because they want to mislead people. Republican Matt Van Epps holds deep red House district in Tennessee's special election. He defeated Democrat after an expensive campaign to replace former Representative Mark Green. Though the president carried it by 22 points, he carried it by just 10 points. This is just fake news, man. Fake news. Tennessee's special House election sets the stage for affordability focus. No, it doesn't. Affordability is the New York story. That's the fake story. A Democratic overperformance in the Republican House congressional seat in Tennessee sets the stage for 2026. By the way, folks, I keep track of my expenses in a spreadsheet, and I go through them. And I was looking at what I paid for electricity in 2018, 2019, and what I was paying for it before I switched to put some solar panels on. So before I put the panels on, my electricity cost in a house, a modest-sized home, went from $50 to $90 a month, 90 being summertime when the aircon was on, $50 to $90 a month, to over $220, $270 per month. I just can't afford that. I switched to solar panels and now it's back down. Most months I'm paying nothing, but some months I pay $20 or $30. So look how our electricity costs have more than doubled. I look at my rubbish bill today. My rubbish bill. Now bear in mind that my income has been reduced by 40%. I have 40% less income than when I was on active duty because my check doesn't cover everything. And even with my small disability payment, it doesn't cover things. So my pay has gone down, but their costs haven't. So this time it's quarterly, so it's 3 months. So if you look at per month, it doesn't feel so bad. But you look at the total, $97. Oh, more snow falling off my panels. $97. When I moved in this house, it was $52. $52 just a few years ago. Now it's $97, nearly double. So the lying nonsense of Joe Biden, my car insurance has gone from $91 to $115 with not a single claim. And I haven't bought a new car. And I drive less than 10,000 miles per year, which is almost not driving at all. So these lies about, inflation being 4% during the Biden administration, 8.5% 1 year is just total nonsense. Anyway, So New Orleans is the latest place that ICE is going after. New Orleans, going down New Orleans, man. Get some crawdads. Gonna go down there. Yeah, try it. Go to the Sugar Dome. New Orleans is the target of the latest immigration customs enforcement operation. I say, boy, are you with Customs and Immigration? The Department of Homeland Security announced Wednesday that it's surging immigration agents into New Orleans, making it the latest sanctuary city target for the Trump administration's mass deportation effort. It's been dubbed Operation Catahoula Crunch, and its stated goal is to track down illegal immigrants. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement has wanted to deport, but were shielded by the city's policy limiting cooperation with the federal government. That's right. I say, boy, that's right. Foghorn Leghorn. That's right. Foghorn Leghorn. You got the accent correct. Very famous line. Well, Arizona is suing Temu. Woo! Arizona is suing Temu, alleging theft of Americans' personal data and consumer deception. The complaint alleges the Chinese online retailer secretly mines sensitive phone information and misleads shoppers with fake reviews and knockoff products. Well, they do. The complaint was filed December 1st in the Maricopa County Superior Court. Alleges Temu and its parent company, PDD Holdings, violate Arizona Consumer Fraud Act through unlawful data collection, violations of consumers' privacy, and counterfeiting some of Arizona's best-known brands, including Fender guitars and the Arizona Cardinals football team. Wow. Alrighty. So a state is taking on Temu. South Africa won't do it, but a state is doing it. Ice, ice, baby. Yep. Yep. Questions and answers about the Trump accounts for children the Dells are supporting. Next year, Michael and Susan Dell will give $250 into new Trump accounts for millions of children under the age of 10. But if you have the right age, kids born after this date for a 4-year period will get $1,000 put in a Trump account. Wow. They're donating $6.25 billion to benefit roughly 25 million American children. Who's eligible? Any child under the age of 18 who has a Social Security number. I hope it's only Americans, but we'll see. Trump created a new type of investment account for children known as a Trump account. You and your employer and others can deposit money within certain limits, and it grows tax-free as it would in an individual retirement account. So, yeah, there you go. Pretty cool. So if your child was born 2016 through 2024, they'll get $250 if you have a combined household income median in your area of $150,000 or less. Otherwise, you got to put your own money in there. So there you go. You can't take the money out. It stays in there until they turn 18, except for extreme circumstances. Pretty cool stuff, huh? So if you want to know about those, I don't think there's many U.S. viewers watching right now that have kids in that range. But if you want to know about the Trump accounts, you learn how Trump accounts could help families save for their children's future. Look, Charles Schwab is politically correct. Only 11% of the country is black, and only about 4% of the people invest in brokerage accounts are black. But look at that. We have a black family up there in the ad. Isn't that lovely? The One Big Beautiful Bill created a new tax advantage savings and investment account for children called the Trump account. Yep. These accounts are eligible for after-tax contributions up to $5,000 a year for beneficiaries. Can you imagine that? If you have the resource, you can put $5,000 per year into your child's account, 10 years, $50,000. $90,000 you would have paid, but over 18 years, those $90,000 tax deferred will grow exponentially. That'll be a hell of a lot more than $90,000. We're talking probably $500,000 or more if the money's put in there properly. So your child will have $500,000 or more dollars when they turn of age available to them. Wow. So if you want that link, I'll give you. Charles Schwab explains how it works. It's really good information. I have no connection to Charles Schwab. I don't work for them. They don't advertise with me, so I'm just letting you know. But here's the link to that. If you want to do it, you can check it out. So when I go to Charles Schwab story, that's the link to it. You can do it. 412 people currently here. Be sure to hit that like button, ladies and gentlemen. Why aren't you hitting the like button? House members are introducing a resolution to interfere with executive authority, trying to block military action in Venezuela. Senator Tim Kaine of Virginia says he stands ready to introduce a similar bill in the Senate. Ranking member of the House Rules Committee, Representative Jim McGovern, Demon Rat from Massachusetts, introduced a bipartisan war powers resolution on December 1st, directing the president to remove U.S. military from hostilities within or against Venezuela that Congress has not authorized. Donald Trump claimed he'll put America first, and instead he's trying to drag us into an illegal war in Venezuela, McGovern said. His resolution was introduced under the War Powers Resolution of 1973. The measure is privileged and should receive consideration in the House, his office said. Because he's a ranking member. McGovern says, whatever this about has nothing to do with stopping drugs. Really? Really? It has nothing to do with stopping drugs? So we're blowing up pleasure boats? Blowing up, cruise ships? Shut up, Democrats. The War Powers Act is in place. Trump is abiding by it, and you don't like it, so you want to try to constrain. But you're going to need 2/3 majority to override. This is empty virtue signaling. That bill has no chance of passing whatsoever. He's just doing this for attention. I wish I had $500,000 when I turned 18. Man, I would have a lot more money now. 16 countries, Philip. I had no idea how many bombed, but I knew it was a lot. This company is charging disabled veterans millions illegally in a gray area. You have a company that is charging veterans to help them with their disability claims. It's unbelievable. Veterans being hit with thousands of dollars in bills. One guy got a $20,000 bill. Another got a $4,500 bill for support that is supposed to be free to help file your military disability claim. There's Eric Jensen, 67, in Oregon. He was in the Navy for 30 years, retired in 2007, and he paid this company over $20,000 for a service that's free. There he is in the Navy back in 1983, a diver. Yep. So, not going to mention the company. I'm going to get sued by them. That's a national public radio doing a good service. Well, George Will proves once again that he is not, never was a conservative. Also, he's not an objective commentator, and pretty much anything George Will has to say, if it's outside baseball, isn't worth the time of day. So his latest op-ed appears in the Washington Compost, a sickening moral slum of administration. And of course, this comes on the heels of yesterday's cabinet meeting. And in here, he says that, where did he say that Hegseth has not commented on this at all? But the problem is Hegseth has commented on it. Hegseth denied it. He denied it yesterday, as did Trump and several other administration officials. So George Will's op-ed comes at an unfortunate time for him because he's just proven to be a fool. Well, folks, there is something that's very concerning. The rise of deep fakes in nude and porn. Yep, indeed. The rise of deepfake pornography in schools. One girl was so horrified she vomited. The use of nudify apps is becoming more and more prevalent, with hundreds of teachers having seen images created by pupils, often of their peers. And the fallout is huge and it's growing fast. It worries me that it's so normalized. He obviously wasn't hiding it. He didn't feel this was something he shouldn't be doing. It was in the open and people saw it. That's what was quite shocking. A head teacher was describing how a teenage boy sitting on a bus on his way home from school casually pulled out his phone, selected a picture from social media of a girl in a neighboring school, and used a nudifying app to doctor her image. 10 years ago, we were talking about sexting and nudes, which were causing havoc in classrooms. Today, advances in artificial intelligence made it child's play to generate deep fake nude images or videos featuring what appear to be your friends or classmates, even your teachers. This may involve removing clothes, getting an image to move suggestively, or pasting someone's head onto a pornographic image. Wow. The girl doesn't even actually know. I talked to the parents, and the parents don't want her to know that this happened. The boy on the bus is just one example of how deep fakes are easily accessed and nudifying technology are playing out among school children, often to devastating effect. In Spain last year, 15 boys in the southwestern region of Extremadura were sentenced to a year's probation after being convicted of using AI to produce fake naked images of their female schoolmates, which they shared on WhatsApp. About 20 girls were affected, most of them aged 14, the youngest was 11. In Australia, about 50 high school students from Bacchus Marsh Grammar at Victoria reported their images had been faked and distributed. Yeah, this is a very serious concern, folks. And in the United States, instead of encouraging or empowering parents to police their children, the state wants to do it, just like Australia and others. House lawmakers are struggling to protect kids on social media without trampling on free speech. Well, don't trample on free speech. Enable parents to discipline their children. Enable parents to oversee the children's responsibility. You can't control what children do if you're a parent, but not the government. 19 different bills are currently in Congress to censor access to the internet. Yeah, so here's two sides of a coin. Censorship and shameful behavior. Neither should be tolerated. No more study debt. Let me look and see if Ronaldo is going to be coming up, and he has sent me a link yet. Let me just look and see if Ronaldo has sent me anything. Okay. Oh boy. Oh boy. So it looks like I'm up on Biz News. So Biz News is, I did my interview this morning, so I'll give you that link to that. You guys can check that out later on if you want. Here you go. There it is right there. Trump snaps back. That's not the most complimentary photograph of me. They could have done better with that. In his latest interview with Chris Den, U.S. intelligence analyst retired Colonel Chris Wyatt describes how and why U.S. presidents lost patience with South Africa. President Donald Trump, Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky. Oh, they got that. They got to fix that. Yeah, they got to fix that. Hang on a second. All right, there we go. All right. So, Biz News, I appeared on there this morning. No, it's, listen, I've cautioned, I've implored I've done everything but beg the senior politicians of the ANC not to act like fools this year. Listen, I mean, you can think someone's a racist or white supremacist or a black supremacist or an idiot, but diplomatically, you don't tell them that. You don't tell the emperor he's not wearing any clothes. Now, I don't believe anything about Trump, but if the ANC politicians truly believe this, like Ibrahim Rasool and Ronald Lamola and Cyril Ramaphosa, Nkebisi Jones hasn't said anything recently, but in the past, or Crispin Puri, Vincent Mangwenya, these folks actually believe that. Keep it to yourself. You know, Chris, I worked in so many embassies throughout Africa, the Middle East, and Europe, and the things I could say about the people whom I've interacted with,
Yeah, so that's biz news. That just came out. Just already got 1,500 views. Wow, it's only been up for a short time. Wow. Covered a lot of stuff in that. So let me get that link. I'll put it in the chat for you guys if you want to go check it out later on. It's your prerogative if you desire. So this is the link to that biz news story. I'll be on with Ronaldo after this. Oh, I need to make sure that we've got this linked. Hang on a second here. I hadn't done that yet, so give me a second here. Got a smaller audience today, so a lot of people said they seem to like my new news banner. I hope you do. I put some time into that, and I like it, but I'm biased. Okay, there we go. So now you'll be linked there automatically if you want to go. Okay, if you want to be my lover, I'll tell you what you gotta do. All those don't have your credibility, parent. Yeah, exactly. They speak of racism, therefore it exists. They speak of things, speak things in life. Parents want to be friends with their children instead of being parents. Exactly, Bosekop. Spot on. And Del Marie admires the Australian government. I do not admire the Australian government. They're censors. Empower the parents to do it and hold the parents accountable. Check Hendo's message. Okay. Hendo. When did he send it? There's nothing here. Hendo sent me, oh, that's the same thing. You're talking about that video. So, oh. I checked your WhatsApp. Oh, Mad Max. Okay, who am I checking? Hendo or Mad Max, man? You guys make up your mind, man. Oh, yeah, I know that. She's stealing my content without my approval. You're welcome, Pearl Vit Boy. All the other Vit Boys disappeared, man. Good to see you there. Yeah, parents want to be friends with their kids. That's not how it's supposed to work. And it doesn't work. Hang on a second here. Okay, waiting for Ronaldo to create the link. I'm gonna shut down my program until he gets his act together. Anyway. Cool. Just listen to Colonel give us USA News as it is. No more fake news. Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Question the parents. They're the ones that give their kids upmarket phones. Yeah, well, that's part of the problem too, isn't it? Well, we all shouldn't be punished. Children shouldn't be denied, the ability to become experts and geniuses in technology because they're not allowed to use technology until they're 18. I mean, that's just asinine. You're going to talk about building the fourth industrial revolution. You want to have an edge. You're not going to deny your kid. The Australian kid's going to be dumb as a box of rocks. They're not going to know anything about technology if they can't access it. I mean, I was coding as a teenager. I was on computers as a teenager, and if I could have done it younger, it would have been great. But they weren't around then. So it's just stupid. You need to put safeguards in there. You can do that. Cat litter, catching mats, okay. Adios, amigos. Who's the woman that went on tirades about how much she hates Tennessee? Oh, the one who ran for office? I was translated a bit slow, says Philip. Oscar, they lost in 2019. Yeah, exactly. They've lost the plot since 2019. Yeah, I once upon a time thought maybe I'd relocate to Australia. New Zealand is my preferred destination, but then Jacinda Ardern came in and I'm like, nope. You see that Puff piece? They did a documentary on her. Oh my goodness, it was at Netflix or somebody. It's vomit inducing. Saw the highlights for it. Anyway, parents whoop me and I'm okay. Exactly, James. Exactly. Yeah, no, parents should be the ones controlling this. I fear the worst is going to be the Democrats' parent children because they will be learning from their folks. Well, remember, it takes a village. It takes a village.
Your neighbors are responsible for your children, not you. All right, Ronaldo's up. We're going to end it here, folks. Be sure to hit the like button. Only 363 likes today. Come on, man. What's up with that? What's up with that? What's up? Come on. Better than that. You can do better than that. 363 likes. 370 people still here. I know a bunch of you haven't done it. One of you just pushed the button. Thank you for that. A slow news day to only 2,000 views, huh? Crazy what's going on there. All right, well, I'm going to wrap it up. 371. A little bit of super chat revenue. Thank you. No new members. That's cool. And you guys take care. Thanks for being here. But it's an early stream. You know, we get weird ones. Sometimes we get big audiences on Wednesdays because we start early. Sometimes people don't realize that they don't come. We start. So anyway, whatever the case is, that's going to do it for today. I'll see you on Ronaldo in just a few moments. Cheers, everybody.